Feeling hungry, the prime grade meat is ours, so we won't be sharing it with Kate. I was in the kitchen preparing for Christmas dinner and drinks. That's when Mary, my eldest son's wife, threw those words at me with contempt. What's this prime grade meat you're talking about? We bought it for Christmas dinner, but there's none for you and Dad. My son Sam, looking down on me with those words. Even without tasting, I can tell the prime grade meat must be delicious, but I really don't have any desire to eat it. I can't help but question Mary's nerve, deliberately saying it's not for us. Here I am preparing Christmas dinner because the eldest son and his wife are coming home. Why do I have to be treated this way? I'm not your maid, you know. Is that okay to say? You should be nicer to us since you'll need our care in the future. Mary's mocking words were infuriating. We'll also be going back to our home. You two enjoy yourselves as you please. Going back home at your age? You probably belong in gatherings of old people, right? That might suit Kate better. Does anything other than sarcasm ever come out of Mary's mouth? It's maddening. My name is Kate, a 63-year-old housewife. My husband is retired, and now we live a relaxed life together. We have one son, Sam. Sam married Mary about 5 years ago. We were looking forward to seeing our grandchildren, but they didn't seem to be blessed with children yet. We were very happy when Sam got married. But there's one thing that bothers me. It's his wife, Mary. It all started with something she said the first time she visited our home. I won't fuss just because I'm your daughter-in-law. Nobody asked her to say that, but Mary declared it herself. The moment I heard that, I got the impression she was arrogant. I didn't want to think so and tried to find her good points. But honestly, I couldn't. Why did Sam marry someone like her? I almost let such words slip out. But I swallowed them struggling. Sam was honest and sincere until he got married. But marrying Mary changed him, making him look down on others. I believe this because of a certain conversation I overheard between the couple. Parents are just there to be used. That's too much. Don't talk about parents who raised you like that. They'll be gone soon anyway. What's the point in feeling sentimental? I was doing the dishes when I overheard the conversation of my eldest son and his wife in the living room. Perhaps they thought I was hard of hearing or wouldn't hear them. I was surprised they were talking loud enough for me to hear. It's not that I'm biased because Sam is my son, but it seemed obvious that Mary was the one leading him astray. Watching the couple, I felt an unbearable unease. It was clear that not only their relationship, but also their attitude towards us, their parents would worsen. Thinking they could just use us, I couldn't see any hope for a good relationship. Having them over for Christmas or summer holidays was nothing but distrust for me. Then one day, out of the blue, they invited us to dine out with them. They had never invited us before, so I was genuinely pleased. They had talked about using us, but had they changed their minds? Part of me hoped so, but my hopes were quickly shattered. Mary loves Chinese food, so we ended up at a nearby Chinese restaurant. The four of us, my son and his wife, and me and my husband. We were looking at the menu, deciding to order our favorites to share when Mary spoke up. Of course, you're treating us today, right? As soon as she sat down, she directed this comment at us. My husband and I were stunned, speechless for a moment. We never intended to make our son and his wife pay, but her words made us waver. Is it really okay to expect to be treated just because we're family? My husband was the one to break the silence. Of course, eat and drink all you like today. His face was tense, probably feeling the same way as I did. Great, I can order whatever I want then. I'm going to order a lot, Mary said, smiling broadly as she scanned the menu. She began to order one expensive dish after another. Sam, aren't you going to order anything? I was going to, but Mary ordered quite a bit, so I thought it might be enough. Don't worry about that. If we can't finish, we'll just take it home. Alright, I forgot about that. Then I'll order everything I want. This conversation unfolded right before my eyes. I was dumbfounded, staring at my son and his wife. I was shocked not just by Sam, but also by Mary's thick-skinned attitude. I don't even remember what I ate that day. Maybe I hardly ate anything at all. Just watching Mary's behavior was enough to make me lose my appetite. My son and his wife ate and drank to their heart's content, and true to their word, took the leftovers home. When the bill came, they were like statues. not even pretending to reach for their wallets. Could these two be completely devoid of manners? Let's do this again sometime. Mary waves goodbye with a smile, but my husband and I could only offer a wry smile in return. We swore to ourselves never to dine out with them again. My husband and I promised each other that if anything similar happened in the future, we would speak up to our eldest son and his wife. It was one thing to behave this way towards us, but if they acted the same with others, it would be concerning. Hoping that wasn't the case, we headed home. For a while, there was no contact with my eldest son and his wife. But then, out of the blue, Mary called. We're moving out of state due to a job transfer. It's a lot to handle with the preparations. Sam's salary isn't great, and I only have a part-time job. With moving costs, buying furniture, and everything else, it's just overwhelming right now. She didn't come right out and say it, but it seems she was hinting at needing financial help. Oh, really? That must be tough. Thank you for letting me know. Do visit us when you're back in town. I understood what Mary was implying, but pretended not to, and was about to end the call. It seems she mistook me for some kind of ATM. Isn't it obvious what I mean? I'm talking about money, Kate. Can't you help us out in our difficult time? Mary wouldn't let the call end easily. What exactly do you mean? I feigned ignorance. You're so oblivious. Money! I'm talking about money. Can't you help us out? Finally, Mary explicitly mentioned money. It wasn't that I didn't want to help financially. It was her approach and attitude that were the problem. Had she not contacted me like this, I might have offered help on my own. I'll talk it over with my husband and get back to you. That was all I said before ending the call unilaterally. Were my son and his wife really struggling financially? Or were they just counting on our money? Either way, it wasn't something I could decide alone, so I decided to discuss it with my husband. Shouldn't they manage on their own? They're adults. They can't always rely on their parents. My husband concluded that we shouldn't help them. I agreed with him, so I informed Mary we couldn't assist. We're living on a pension and don't have the means to help. Sorry. Am I not your daughter? What do you mean you can't help? Aren't you still my parents? You're so useless. After venting her frustration, Mary hung up without waiting for my response. She seemed angry, but I didn't feel I deserved it. After that, there was no more contact from my son and his wife. A part of me was relieved by the silence, but one concern lingered. Christmas was approaching. I suspected they might visit for Christmas. The thought filled me with dread. Then, as expected, Sam called one day. We're thinking of coming home for Christmas. I'll bring Mary along. We rarely see each other, so do come by when you have time. Prepare a feast, okay? We're making the effort to come home. His last comment bothered me, but I let it go. I wanted to enjoy Christmas after all. I planned to welcome them with a feast. Finally, Christmas Eve arrived, and I busied myself preparing the Christmas dinner and buying drinks. That's when my son and his wife arrived at our home. Hungry? The prime grade meat is ours, so we won't share it with Kate. While I was preparing Christmas dinner in the kitchen, Mary, my eldest son's wife, taunted me with these words. What's this prime grade meat you're talking about? We bought it to eat for Christmas. There's none for you and Dad, though. Even Sam joined Mary in looking down on me. Were they still upset that we didn't help them with their moving costs? But to say such things to me while I'm preparing a meal for them is unacceptable. I certainly don't want their prime grade meat. But there's no need for them to purposely make us feel bad by saying it's not for us. I couldn't help but doubt their decency. I couldn't overlook their attitude any longer. I'm not your housemaid, you know. Is it okay to say that? You'll need our care in the future, so you should be nice. I couldn't hide my irritation at Mary's condescending remarks. Can you just cook the meat? It's good meat, so don't burn it, please. This exchange happened in the kitchen, but my husband relaxing in the living room seemed unaware. I thought about asking for his help, but then I had an idea. I pretended to cook their prime grade meat, but decided to serve a different cut instead. It wasn't as high grade as the prime meat, but it was a similar steak I had bought. And I wouldn't just cook it plainly. I planned to spice it up with every seasoning I had at home. Mom, can you bring some drinks? I'd like a drink too, please. In the midst of this, my son and his wife were bossing me around. Reluctantly, I brought the drinks, and though my husband was silent, he looked exasperated. The meat will be ready soon. Just wait a bit. I returned to the kitchen to continue preparing the meat. I was into Asian cuisine recently, so I had a lot of spices on hand. I prepared my husband's portion of the prime grade meat, seasoned with just salt and pepper. It's ready. I served to my husband his meat first. I wanted my son and his wife to see how much he enjoyed it, making them realize it was good. Why are you giving, Dad? Sam started to speak but knew they couldn't complain to my husband. They wouldn't dare say his portion wasn't available. This is delicious. My husband ate happily. Beside him, I served the special steaks to my son and his wife. They looked puzzled but began eating. What is this? It's spicy. Mary spat out the steak. It tastes good. It's a bit strong, but as a snack with drinks, it's fine. Sam, who generally likes strong flavors, seemed to enjoy it. Kate, what are you thinking? This seasoning. It feels like harassment. And is this really prime grade meat? It seems different. Mary was sharp to notice. You noticed, didn't you? You said there was no prime grade meat for me and my husband, right? After all the mean things you've said to me, and making me prepare your meal like I'm your servant? You have no right to complain about what's served. Were you really treated like that? What's the meaning of this? No, that wasn't our intention. Maybe you misunderstood. Exactly. Mary wouldn't say such things. It seems my eldest son and his wife can't stand up to my husband. I can't believe Kate would lie. My husband looks contemplative, but seemed to be on my side. I can't bear to have meals with you anymore. Yeah, Kate, you don't need to serve them anything. We'll go back to our place. You two do as you please. At your age, going back home? Probably more fitting for you guys to hang out with other old people, right? How rude can Mary be? There's a limit to rudeness. Just looking at you two makes me uncomfortable. Kate, can you get ready to leave? My husband was desperately trying to control his anger. I packed all the food I had prepared for our clinic visit into lunch boxes, ready to head to my parents' house. Wait a minute, what are we supposed to eat? Yeah, you're taking all the food. Leave the cooking for us. My son and his wife were panicking, but that was their problem. They could prepare their own food. I decided to keep the prime grade meat as a penalty. Let's go. We finished packing all the food and drinks we had at home into bags and were about to leave. Taking away our Christmas meal? That's just too harsh. How can you still be parents? My son and his wife complained endlessly. My husband and I headed to my parents' house. My sister living alone was there, so the three of us had a peaceful Christmas. What happened? You suddenly showing up with food? My sister was worried, but I didn't go into details. It was Christmas after all. I didn't want to dwell on my son and his wife any longer. We cooked the prime grade meat and enjoyed it together. My son and his wife called several times, but I turned off my mobile phone to avoid the annoyance. This is how Christmas should be. My husband was savoring the moment of happiness. Why did I even think of spending Christmas with my son and his wife? It was a mistake from the start. When we returned home the next day, my son and his wife were gone. I found 2 empty instant ramen wrappers left behind, probably eaten by my eldest son and his wife in an emergency. As I was cleaning up, I heard a noise at the front door. As I had a bad feeling, I went to the entrance and found my eldest son and his wife there. So you've finally come back. After making us go through such a terrible time, you still come back as if nothing happened. Don't you care about us? That was way too harsh. The ones who were terrible were my son and his wife. What kind of Christmas would we have had if we just gone along with their demands? The thought was frightening. What are you talking about? You've been using us all this time. It's you who don't care about us. My husband, hearing our argument, came to the entrance. Don't come to this house again. My son and his wife stood there stunned. A child who disrespects their parents cannot be considered a child. We've probably been too lenient. From now on, live your lives on your own. That's not true. I've never neglected Dad. We really do care about you, Ben. Please don't give up on us. What do you think I am? I prepared a meal for you and you don't appreciate it at all. I don't want to see your faces anymore. My son and his wife must have only seen me as a housemaid. My husband, in a stern voice, said, Do you not consider Kate a parent? A child who can't cherish their mother is no longer family to us. From today, you are strangers. Leave this house. He forcibly pushed them out of the entrance. Wait a minute. We'll take care of Mom. We were wrong. Sorry. It's too late for apologies now. Never set foot on this property again. I closed and locked the front door, ensuring my son and his wife couldn't enter. My husband went to his room without saying a word. He had always been fond of our son. He must be struggling to accept that we had to cut ties like this. After that, my son and his wife never came to our house again. Mary called several times, but I never answered. Her messages, which kept coming, were always distressing. Don't you care about us? We can't pay our apartment rent and might be evicted. Sam has to quit his job. Please help. Why are you ignoring us? We're in trouble. Aren't you still our parents? Unbelievable. I was troubled by Mary's constant messages, and feeling guilty, I blocked her. Even if messages were still coming, I couldn't see them. Maybe Mary was still sending them. There was no word from Sam, but from Mary's messages, it seems he was fired and they were evicted. I believe in not spoiling our son. Helping them now would make them rely on our money forever. It would ruin them. Sometimes being harsh is necessary. My husband and I deliberately avoid talking about them, but I think he feels the same. We return to our peaceful life. Lately, we've gotten into hiking and climb mountains once a week. My husband and I have always been active, enjoying physical activities. Maybe we'll climb Everest someday. My husband has such ambitions. I too look forward to deciding which mountain to climb next. Living peacefully with just the two of us is enough for now. But I regret not being on good terms with my son, my only child. No matter what, missing your own child is sad. Still, I hope that one day we can spend Christmas together with my son and his wife again. I wish for such a day to come.